Thank you for all coming. I just want you to imagine yourself sitting in this seat for the next 10 minutes and listen to me. I've been able to listen to you guys for 3 minutes a lot of times. And it's not easy. A lot of the testimony that was given is given from friends of mine, neighbors of mine. I live in Warm Springs also. Colleagues, business partners, customers. It's interesting sitting in this seat. We're told that we need to listen to our constituents, and yet we're told that we're not listening to our constituents. But I would argue with you that we actually are listening to the mass of constituents. Most of you would remember the YMCA, and we had a similar discord where there was some very vocal people that were against the YMCA. And when it came down to it, we did an advisory ballot, and it came out about 70-30 in favor of it. I suspect if we had an advisory ballot for this, it would be the same. I have a lot of compassion for the testimony that was given, and I think it would be false to state that there are not going to be disturbances to the neighborhood. Warm Springs Road will be stressed during construction. People that live to the west of the project and to the east of the project are going to have their view corridors eliminated to an extent. One of the things that was brought up in the testimony was the youth leaving our valley. I happen to be one of those people that has lost the youth to this valley. I have a daughter that's 23, and she graduated from college with a degree and wanted to go into physical therapy. There are no jobs here. She lives in Seattle now. I'd love to have her living here. I have 2 other kids. I doubt very much they will live here in this valley. And I'm not saying that this development is going to provide jobs for them, but it will provide an awful lot of jobs for friends of mine that are contemplating leaving here. And they're not youth. They're 30 and 40 and 50 years old. They're construction people, they're plumbers, they're electricians. They don't have jobs right now. This is an economic stimulus package that is real. This is something that some people that are coming from out of town and talking about providing jobs for people that live here. I will tell you that when this project first came to me, and Lisa told me they wanted to go to 78 feet, I asked her to give me a razor blade so I could slit my wrists. Then when she told me it was going to go to 90 plus feet, I asked her if they still ran trains up and down the valley so I could jump in front of it. However, after studying the project over what I consider to be almost a graduate level course, I understand the needs of this development. And I really don't see any other way that they can develop their project without the densities that they're asking for. Let me touch on transportation briefly. I do believe that there are some road improvements that are going to be needed. I think that we're going to have to work on some bus schedules as well. But I will also tell you that whether this was a hotel or whether it was a development of houses, those transportation issues would have to be addressed. Since we're on transportation, I want to touch briefly on the airport. I kind of feel like one of you guys standing at the podium because because I don't think the airport should be on this discussion, but I had the pleasure of going to Vail this year, and I flew into Denver instead of flying into Eagle, and I think it's 120 plus miles on I-70. It's one of the worst roads I've ever driven on in my life. Frankly scary, even though it's a 2-lane highway. And so for us to move the airport, and
working on
maybe my friend next to me will allude to it, but really we have 3 airports right now that are within 2.5 hours of this valley. And you can get here easier than you can get to Vail. I'm going to briefly mention about the stimulus package again. Eric Cedar mentioned it last night, and really, because of what the economy is doing right now, I think that it would be, one of the things that I think I have to do in this job, there's 2 things. One is health safety, and the other is to provide a stable economy. Well, we haven't done a very good job of providing a stable economy. And I don't know if it's my fault, or if it's Mr. Bush's fault, or if it's some of my banker friends' fault, but it's certainly somebody's fault. And I'm being offered something that gets some of my friends jobs. And I don't know if it's certainly not the panacea, but to bring somewhere in the neighborhood of $500, $600 million into this community over the next 10 years, I cannot ignore that. Let me talk about the 5-star development. I had a friend that lives on Bald Mountain Road, changed his opinion the other day. He happened to stay in the Amagani over in Jackson, and he called me after he was there for a day and a half. And he said, now I understand. We don't have anything close to 5-star here. Not even close. There is a clientele base out there that will come to this community if we have a 5-star product. I think it's crucial that we open our minds to having a 5-star facility, even a 4-star facility, so that we can start bringing some of those people in to spend their dollars in the valley. I'm going to talk about the annexation and timing briefly. It's to Ketchum's advantage to annex this property as soon as possible, which would also lead the developer to developing the property as soon as possible. With the annexation comes taxes, and with the rezoning of the property, those taxes come into Ketchum's coffers, but they also cost the developer additional money, which means every additional dollar that they have to spend, they're going to want to try and develop it faster. So whether they resell or get themselves operational, they can start recouping the money that they're spending on it. Finally, I want to talk about the benefits to the community. And for simplicity, I'll call them the 3 R's. Recreation. There was some testimony questioning the 9-hole golf experience. And I happen to be friends with Davis Love, who is a golf developer, as well as a pretty good golfer. And he has stated to me that the trend is now that a lot of golf development is going towards the 9-hole executive par 3 golf because time is of the essence. People don't have enough time to go play 4 to 5 hour rounds, or 6 hour rounds if you're playing at Sun Valley's new course. It is exactly the right direction for them to go in with this piece of property. The other recreation will hopefully be the $500,000 that we can use for tennis or other parks facilities, the trail connections, and then I'm assuming cross-country in the wintertime. The other R is restoration. I think what they're going to do to the stream is absolutely outstanding. Anybody that lives along that piece of property to the north side is going to be tremendously pleased with the restoration they're going to do on the stream. And finally, the restaurant and Warm Springs. I certainly hope that's in the agreement. It's one of the things that I know that we've talked about, and I look forward to having this going with Bob and Jolie done. Thank you.